I didn't have my mic on, and that would be bad because there's no commentary in this game. But we're in the house with our weird criminal-looking guy. I don't even want to talk about what kind of criminal he looks like. I don't need that tip every time Meat Man comes out the bowl. Meat Man. How stoned was I when I did this? Grief. And I've been having terrible luck with that ball, so we're going to stick with the house ball because it's providing... I forgot to spin the ball. You know, everything said and done, that was a pretty lame throw right there. You know, PBA, you can't aim the ball like that. You can just move back and forth across your lane, but you can't actually aim the ball in a diagonal direction. And I don't know why, because that's physically possible, and people do it all the time, but with PBA, no. Oh, we're doing the spin again. This will backfire. They all lean on that spin. Let's see if she's smart enough not to throw a spin when she's just aiming for one pin. No, she dumb. Why would you do that? You know it's not going to work. Oh, man. Okay, well, you know, it is what it is. So, a little bit that way. 3 clicks for spin. This is how you throw strikes. Oh, all right. So it's how you throw more consistent strikes. I should probably say that. Wait till I start uploading all this stuff. I've got hours of retro gaming. I am building a whole sports network and entertainment network based on PlayStation 2 games. Seriously. I like watching this stuff, you know, so that's got to mean there are other people that like... I mean, you could build a whole TV network based on PlayStation 2. You really could. I'm actually trying to do that. People like watching people play games. People like watching people play retro games. And I've built a couple of sports teams that you can get emotionally invested in the players. Like, I'm using the 2K line, which means that the names are custom. Damn it. Which means that each player has a unique identity. You can actually get in. I've got a guy on my baseball team named Corky Bong. He's a heavy hitter, right? And he's playing for... What team did... Oh, I'm doing the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. But it's the 2008 Tampa Bay Rays. So... they weren't doing particularly well that year, so I rebuilt the team with mostly custom players. And after watching a few of those games, tell me you can't get emotionally invested in seeing that team go all the way to the World Series. You'd have to. I mean, if you watch a few games, it's, you know, it's not real baseball, but it moves faster. Baseball's freaking slow, y'all. You get out there and everybody's looking at each other, and you know, the pitcher's making all these micro adjustments. Finally a strike. And you know, he's looking at everybody else, and everybody else is looking back at him, and it's just a whole lot of glancing going on. And that train, I remember one night I was running a board at WEIM in Fitchburg. And that damn Red Sox game went on for 4 hours, I shit you not. 4 hours for a baseball game? Because it was just so slow. And that, by the way, this was the year that was it Pedro Martinez? Oh, he was killing it for us. He was like, he had the crowds off their asses. I remember sitting in that studio running the board and hearing him throw one no-hitter after another and thinking, I'm watching a legend unfold in real time. It was amazing, you know. And this is just what bowling ends up being, is me babbling about nothing. There's no commentary. I have to fill the blanks myself. Some people might actually like this, you know. It's no different than a conversation you'd be having if you were bowling on a league night anyway. The conversations that happen. I mean, you know. So did your wife finally stop vomiting? Wait, what? She can't now. She's still not knocking over that one pin. Oh my gosh, that's got to be frustrating as all hell. She didn't spin it. Oh my god, she has a shot at a spare. Holy crap, lady, you just nailed it. Realize that? You nailed it. Look at me with meat, man. These bowlers all look the same. PBA doesn't allow you to make a custom bowler either. That's really, I mean, they don't do it at all. But I remember, was it 21? PBA 21, I think. They just, whatever bowler. Like, people want creative license, and companies keep delivering these subpar, no, we're basically tying you to one identity that we've predetermined and wondering why it falls flat. Because we want to create, we want to be in the game. That hasn't changed in 20 years, and for some reason, gaming companies don't want us in the game. They don't want us controlling the game, and now they don't even want us to have the game. Sony, oh, let's get rid of discs. Remember when they famously promised they would never do that? And now they're doing it. And you know what they're going to find out? People walk away from the platform. Look at me. I'm playing PlayStation 2 on a retro gaming emulator on my PC. I don't need your crappy PlayStation 6. Screw Sony and screw Microsoft. Anybody that gets rid of physical media at this point is not reading the tea leaves. I mean, there's somebody literally painting a warning on the wall with their fingertip, and they're still digging in with the, oh, everybody needs to be on the cloud and everything needs to be on the cloud. People are adamantly rejecting that as a philosophy, and they're still doing it because they don't get it. Like, oh, we don't care. It's our property. Oh, good. Then go have your property with nobody buying it and making no money. Do that. And I'll sit here and play my PlayStation 2. I'll be playing this in my 80s. I'll be in a nursing home, and they will have to have this set up just so I can play PlayStation 2. This is what Gen X is going to look like in the nursing home. You know, some of us it'll be Nintendo, some of us it'll be Atari, some of us it'll be Sega Genesis. PlayStation 2 right here. I'm the PlayStation 2 guy. Without question, it was the best system ever built. I still have mine. I need to get it tuned up. The problem isn't the PlayStation 2 lasting, it's the media was on discs, and discs eventually wear out. And there's no real clear path for the average person to make copies and reburn them so that they don't lose what they have. Why do I have to... Hey, I got a strike. All right. I think PlayStation 2 is the best one that's built. I think the peak for PlayStation technology was probably PlayStation 3, and it's just plummeted downhill ever since that. You know, anytime that you start... I mean, look at Madden. Look at Madden. Friggin' $70 game, and you still have to pay for extra shit. Who green-lighted that? And how do we get them fired? Because what a tone-deaf idea. And eventually the NFL is going to walk the hell away from EA Sports. They're going to have to, because they're not going to make any money on anything, because people are just going to get tired of being nickel and dime to death. Imagine paying $30 shy of $100 and then being told it's an extra $20 to $50 to unlock additional players and other content. And not even good stuff. Not even like, oh, this classic stadium from 1936. No, it's stupid crap. Like, I shouldn't have to pay to unlock, you know, Brett Favre. But they're literally doing things very similar to that, like legacy players and player cards. I'm like, fuck you, EA. You and your whole damn staff, a bunch of greedy quarterly optics dopes. The company that brings media back to being physical again and recognizes players want to be in the games, solves all of that, they're going to print money. They're going to absolutely print money. And they're going to absolutely own video games. Sorry, pretty much everybody, but we're done. We are absolutely freaking done with this crap, you know? Oh, please, strike gods, let me have one more time in the limelight. And he does it again. That's a 4-bagger for the champ, who's in the house. That's right. Look at me with 196. I've already decimated. I'm not even done yet. Control your spin and use it when necessary, but not all the time. And yet another strike. God, I love it when I'm locked in like this. So good. I will have a seat with my 226 and smoke a cigarette, because that's something you could do at bowling alleys in the 80s. Smoke a cigarette and bowl while eating nachos. It's the best sport. I mean, you don't have to be physical. You could be like a 300-pound guy and still bowl like a champ. Bowling's not a sport. Well, you're not a human, so. Wow, look at that. Another strike. She's out here creaming it. Creaming it like corn. I'm really tempted to put that on a t-shirt. Over at Benton Platinum. Have you seen my so on Cafe Press, I have a t-shirt shop called Bent and Platinum. These are ink t-shirts. They're not iron-on transfer like Cafe Press used to do. They're I forget what they call it, but it's like a print right on the fabric type of thing. They're really nice shirts. They're a bit more, but you're not going to get these designs at a friggin' Walmart. You want to talk about statements that will raise eyebrows and t-shirts that just don't make sense. Like, how about a t-shirt for a festival that never happened? We got those. I mean, the whole point of the t-shirts is to wear something outrageous and absurdist. Because, you know, you go to Walmart and it's like, here, have a t-shirt. It's AC/DC again for some reason. Oh, and it almost went over, but it didn't go over, so it didn't go over. See, this is the part that PBA doesn't let you do. This right here. Can't do it. I don't know why. You literally can do that when bowling, and for some reason, and that's a huge, you know, PBA does a great game. This is still way better, right? It's grindier. It's more true to the mechanic of bowling. The physics are great, and this is a title that was made in 2008, I think. And there was never a sequel. They were like, we nailed it. We nailed it. I don't know who all these people are playing. I don't know if they're real pros or just generated. And to me, it doesn't matter. I mean, who's that invested in bowling? No, if I can't play Gary Sachs, I'm just not, you know, forget it. I'm not spending the money. Well, this is emulated software, so you don't have to, but I get your point. Is there really somebody that committed to bowling? Like, I gotta play Gary Sachs. That feels like a bowling name. We got it, and we got the spare. Come on. I would have nachos, but I don't have any in the house. You know, for authenticity. That'd be fun. The Price is Right is on in the background. I don't know if you can hear that. I wonder what time it is. I don't even know. Take that some stuff. I left my phone in the living room. The living room is right through the doorway. You can kind of see behind me. My studio is essentially a sewing room. What would have been a sewing room at the turn of the century, but It's been repurposed many times into many things. I like it because I can open the windows and I can see what's going on outside. And oftentimes I do, but I wait until the sun's not blaring through, because in the morning the sun is right there. So I am all set with that. I'd really like to get a couch happening in the living room, because right now I'm sitting on the floor. I don't even have armchairs, y'all. I have nothing. No furniture whatsoever. Somebody was really nice and gave us really nice chairs, and they're going to get tossed because the cats destroyed them. After these cats, I'm probably not a cat person anymore. It's just, if I'm a cat person, it's one cat. No more multiple cats. It's just too much trouble. They fight. They when they get mad at each other, it's like it's a whole thing. And one got territorial. One's like, all the litter boxes and feeding places are mine, and she gets mad about it. She almost attacked me the other day cleaning the litter box, and checked herself because she realizes, oh, this is not the person to attack. But like, she sees Mama Kitty in the litter box and she loses her ever-loving mind. You can't be, that's my litter box. So I've been trying to lure Mama Kitty into the living room because it gives her another half of the house to work with, but she won't do it because she's afraid Frankie's going to somehow get in there. But what Mama Kitty doesn't realize is the minute I get her in here, I'm closing the door, bringing her litter box and her own feeding bowls, and then they don't have to deal with each other anymore, because I'm done with it. I'm absolutely done with it. At this point, separate the cats. Mama Kitty's 11 years old. She's not getting younger, and she doesn't need to deal with Frankie's stupid territorial nonsense. And if Frankie can't see Mama Kitty anymore, she'll stop attacking her. You know, the whole door thing tends to work for that. But it's like, you know, as an autistic adult, I don't need to be dealing with this crap. For God's sake, just, you know, I mean, it always gets piled on my face over and over again. You know, the cats, the car, family drama, medical drama, everybody vying for your attention at the same time while you're trying to rebuild a life from scratch. If you've never rebuilt a life from scratch, you cannot possibly understand how complicated that is. I'm not talking about you move and you start over. I'm talking about everything you've done your entire adult life, throwing it out and starting over. As an unmasking autistic adult, it's the only way to move forward, because if you do not establish that you're not masking with the world right off the bat, then the expectation becomes for you to mask. And I live in Massachusetts. I don't have to do that. My body stopped masking mechanically. I can't do it. And you know, I'm always being called arrogant. I'm always being told that, you know, my tone is wrong. But guys, listen, I don't hear what you hear, okay? I literally don't. Harping on me for something I'm not doing on purpose is stupid. That right there. Immediately somebody would take an issue with that. You just said that was stupid. It is stupid. That's not an arrogant take. That's an honest take. Where you literally arguing about conversational aesthetics. Do you want to get from A to B to the truth? Or do you want to play social jujitsu? Because my body won't let me play social jujitsu. I did it for 50 years and it's over it. I literally can't anymore. And it drives a wedge between me and other people that I'm having conversations with, particularly family. Like, I don't like your tone. I'm not delivering a tone. You're reading a tone because you're still playing social jujitsu, but I'm not. There is no tone. There's just deadpan response. People can't deal with that. And it makes normies mad. Normies, like autistic people, are all arrogant. No, we're not. No, we're not. We just don't waste our time with, you know, because the whole way with which neurotypicals extract information is sloppy, laborious, and time-consuming. Not to mention that they have poor survival skills because of their propensity to join whatever crowd is forming. You know, an autistic person looks at a crowd as a liability and possibly a danger zone and avoids it. Normies see a crowd and think, I'm missing something. You know, you're not missing anything except another damn line to get into, so that's an incorrect assessment. What was with that ball throw? I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring that. That was... What the hell? Thank you. That seemed proper. Did you see that? It went way off the beaten path. I don't know what happened. So when somebody would approach me at Advanced Auto Parts, right? And they would say to me, they would I wouldn't even, like, after a while I just stopped letting them open the conversation. When a normie approaches a retail counter, they have a mission in mind. Open with a qualifying statement. Work towards a mutual understanding. Extract information to figure out what kind of personality you're dealing with, and then gradually work into the thing. That's not what I do. I greet the person. This is in retail, which I won't work retail anymore. The person comes in to my counter, and before they can even open their mouth, I say, "Hey, thanks for coming in. Let me help you solve your problem today." It bypasses the neurotypical social dance completely and gets right to problem solving. Normies hate this because I just violated every rule that they know is, you know, what you're supposed to do. But the thing is like, after a while, the rapport built, and people would come into the store looking for me specifically because I was the no bullshit guy. Now, I live in Massachusetts now, where that's just what we do. If you live in places like Indiana or other southern states where social contracts are much more thin, basically meaningless, everybody just does it because it's what you do, and you go to a place like Massachusetts where everybody's kind of brash and in your face, it seems like, okay, these people are just rude all the time, but we're not. We're just up front. That's why I do better here than I ever did in Indiana, because everybody communicates similar to me. It's part of the region. You know, you get into a conversation with Bostonian, you immediately think, hey, this reminds me of Vince a little bit. And that's why. Because the conversation is like, let's cut the bullshit and get down to brass tacks. And that's what we do in Massachusetts, and that's what autistic people do. And, you know, neurotypicals find it destabilizing when, you know, they come into a store and before they can say, let me tell you about my grandpappy, you're like, hi, welcome to Auto World. How can I help you solve your problem today? The whole ritual just got freaking bypassed. And now you're standing there going, I don't know what to do next. But I'm not doing it to destabilize your conversational thread. I'm doing it because your conversational thread is emotionally exhausting and physically exhausting for me. And if I pursue that, we're both just going to get short over it. This is why I need a new desk. This thing rocks. It's uneven. It's terrible. It's deluxe. I don't think she's going to beat me this string. I think... Oh, boy. What is with her in that shot? Jiminy Christmas on a stick. Can we not? Congratulations. You done it. So 204 is a pretty good score at this point. I don't know why I haven't been promoted out of league night. Let's finish with the last string. Meat Man, Martha Holland. This is the pressure cooker that everybody's been waiting for. You know, I'm using my friend Ben as a nice little guinea pig and making him watch some of this stuff. He's on the road. He's looking for content to keep him entertained while he's driving, and at nighttime, videos for when he's chilling. And I basically said, look, I want you to watch a couple of these games and see if you can get emotionally invested in the team. Now, to my knowledge, he's not even a baseball fan, but he's also the catcher. I kid you not, Ben is literally, not literally, but I made a video game avatar version of him as the catcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. So that was kind of like, you know, the Easter egg I hid in there. Like, okay. Oh, and did I mention you're a dangerous hitter? Yeah, you might want to watch. It's kind of fun. You really need to follow that ball. Oh, not a split. Damn. Okay, well, I'll give it a try, but I doubt it. I really freaking doubt it. We're fatigued. We're fatigued. Quick, somebody... Yeah, I'm not getting it. The ball just doesn't... These balls are too slow to actually send the pin, so... Martha Holland. Down here at the Boston Bowling Arena. You know, there's an F1 kart place right next door. You can actually hear them if everything's shut off. You can hear the buzzes from the cars. Hey, tell Ronnie if he's going to the Packy, stop at Cumbies and get me a coffee. There's all your New England candy or Massachusetts candy for the day, or Bostonian. Why is it with people in other states they think that everybody that lives in Massachusetts is from Boston? Where did you live? This conversation happened all the time. Where'd you move from? I moved from Massachusetts. Oh, you're from Boston? Bro, I'm from Massachusetts. Boston is not the state. Boston is one city in a really much bigger state. Can you do the Boston accent? Did you not just hear me? If you don't actively hear the Boston accent, then it's probable that I don't have it. However, being an impressionist, I can impersonate it. And that's totally how it is. Hey, hop in, go grab the car. I want to head over to the Packy and then stop at Cumbies. Terms like bang a Yui. I've actually done that on purpose in Indiana. I've given people directions and told them to head up to a light and bang a Yui. And they just go, what? You gotta love Boston energy. Our politics are crap. Our governor's a moron, but... don't get mad. Come on now. Governor Healy wants to put heat pumps in homes that are like over 200 years old. The woman is not firing on all four cylinders. It has nothing to do with her political leanings. It just has to do with the fact that she's poorly researched and executes ideas half-assed. That's not leadership, that's cosplaying. She's about quarterly optics and showing that she's doing something while accomplishing exactly dick. So, my assessment is not incorrect, and that is more autistic being rude. I'm not being rude, I'm just stating an obvious. You can't, look, heat pumps are great for buildings built in the last 10 years. They are not great for a 150-year-old colonial or Victorian that has major draft issues, old insulation, etc., etc. You're gonna be paying $800 a month for your heating bill. It's an obscenely stupid idea. And she's reached exactly that pushback. Not to mention that she is effectively putting out of business a lot of people that depend on the classic heating industry to stay afloat. You know, we're not even talking about coal fire, guys. We're talking about gas. Remember gas 20 years ago? Gas was the future. Gas is the clean energy. And now all of a sudden, those same people are telling us gas is bad for you. We're getting rid of gas. You know what? I don't think I trust anything you have to say because you always end up backtracking. Today you're saying heat pumps are great. Tomorrow you're going to say we need to get rid of all the heat pumps because they're too much of a load on the electrical infrastructure. And we didn't realize how many fossil fuels they require to function, albeit indirectly. Like, you don't think any of this through. You just run your mouth and go, I know shit. No, you don't. You're a politician. That's just my opinion, though. I mean, you know, politically, I'm still apolitical, but I will look at something a politician does and say, yeah, that's bullshit. They didn't even think that through. They didn't think that through. And I'm not supporting them in that, you know. If Healy does something brilliant, I'll absolutely come on here and say, hey, this was a good move. But she appears to me to be a typical politician, performative and not very bright. But she, through the right virtue signals, she got into office. Oh, do you want a Republican in office? No, I lived in a red state. They're terrible, too. Red states are not factually better. Anybody that moves to a red state thinking, this is my sanctuary, particularly if you're disabled, you're moving into a scenario where you will not be taken care of and you could wind up homeless. That's the red state reality. I know it seems like, oh, the Christians there are probably alive and they have all the same values. No, they're dead at the mains. You know, they got nothing going on. Spiritually, they're dead because they have no persecution, so they're comfortable. Well, comfort breeds stagnation, and stagnation means that you go off on missions trips overseas and brag about it to your congregation who are starving because there's no groceries and you don't have a food pantry. 1,000 members, no food pantry. Elevation franchises, I am definitely talking to you. I'm not saying Elevation Church itself, I don't know what their situation is, but I was a member briefly of an Elevation franchise. And yeah, no, they literally, at one point I went there and I said, hey, I need food. We're in a rough spot, and they actually redirected us, I'm not even kidding, to public services. The church redirected us to go to public services. That's fucked. Okay, there's no way, there's no pretty way to put that. That's completely fucked. You don't do that. You're missing a major biblical principle if you do not have your own grain storehouse that you can open up for the needy within your own home. What's the purpose of putting out fires internationally if your own house is burning to the ground? I am heavy critical of churches that do this. I'm heavy critical of churches that put missions first before taking care of their own. I don't have a problem with missions. I do think that the idea that the whole world hasn't heard the gospel yet is misinformed and makes a lot of assumptions that cannot be made because there's data we simply cannot physically track. And churches think that this is the way to bring about the Armageddon and Jesus coming back and all that, but the truth be known is missions aren't the thing holding things up right now. They just aren't. God's looking for something else, and you're repeating a play that I'm not saying stop doing missions. You know, we're bringing water and electricity and schooling and faith to villages that had nothing. So I'm not against that. But what I am saying is that if you're thinking that is somehow the thing holding back the return of Jesus, it's really not. Think about this. There are Chinese missionaries. Do you think that they report on a website or a Facebook page their activity? Hell no. The Chinese government would find them and put them in jail. Which means if they're doing mission work, you can't track it. And if you can't track it, in one country, it's probable that there are missionaries from other countries that are operating in the shadows that you can't track as well. Which means all of your data about who's gotten to what country isn't really data at all. It's a snapshot of something that might have been representative maybe 20 years ago. I remember my church, Christ Fellowship in Knightstown, they brought out this scroll and they stretched it very dramatically in front of all the stage. They went from one end to the other. It was probably like 30 or 40 feet, right? And it said, these are all the countries that hadn't heard the gospel. And the first question I had back then was, how do you know? They never shared the data. Churches all want to be about missions. And it is important because, you know, of the Great Commission. But sometimes they seem more focused on missions than their own congregation. Like, how are you going to not take care of your own? Every church should have a food pantry. And I know this because I've witnessed churches that were tiny and had a food pantry and served an entire town with that food pantry. Oh, I can't believe that just happened. There's no excuse to not have a food pantry other than you're just not doing it. The church that I'm thinking of that I'm very upset with over this, they've got a huge building that used to be an exercise gym, okay? They have storage upon stores. They have rooms that they could turn into grocery stores, and they don't. And you don't question the leadership about it. At this point, you won't, I don't even know if you would get an answer. Secondly, a church that big has absolutely no excuse for not having an outreach program for autistic adults. That's insane. That's a demographic you absolutely need to be taking care of. I just barely beat her in the third round. You see that? Holy crap. I decreased by 2. Oh, bite me with your reputation. You and your mom with her reputation. That sounded dirtier than I meant it. I was just being completely random, so it wasn't dirty. One thing you won't find on anything that I do is I don't tell dirty jokes. They're just stupid. Dirty jokes are stupid. They're the lowest hanging fruit possible, you know. I still have one more, and then I've got one more. So I'm going to call it for here for now and do the other one in a series later. I don't want it to get too overblown. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching Meat Man bowl. And we'll catch you when we catch you, I guess. Cheers and beers.